Hello everyone, this is the third lecture on the subject digital signal processing, and today I'm going to explain about the discrete time systems. In last two lectures I discussed about discrete time signals and why digital signal processing is necessary and what are the applications of DSP. Now, what is discrete time systems? Now, a discrete time system is defined mathematically as a transformation or operator that maps an input sequence with values of xn into an output sequence with values y of n. Now, this is denoted by yn equal to, this is a transformation or operator on xn provides you output yn. So, xn is the input and it will have some operation on that you will get yn output. Now, above equation represents a rule or formula for computing the output sequence values from the input sequence values. It should be emphasized that the value of the output sequence at each value of the index n may depend on the input samples xn for all values of n. That is, y at time n can depend on all or part of the entire sequence x. So xn is the input signal or excitation. This is the discrete time system with some operator or some operation or some transformation t. It gives you yn output signal. Now let us take some example of discrete time signal systems. Say ideal delay system. That means yn is nothing but x of n minus nd. Okay, where the n varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. Now nd is the part that is delayed. Okay. Now where nd is a fixed positive integer. If it is positive integer, that means 1, 2, 3, 4, then it is delayed. If nd becomes negative, then it becomes positive, then that becomes x of n plus nd, that becomes advanced signal, not delay signal. Okay. So nd is a fixed positive integer representing the delay of the system. In other words, the ideal delay system shifts the input sequence to right by nd samples to form the output. Now we can see here, this is your x at n equal to 0, this is n equal to minus 3, n equal to 3. Now yn equal to x of n minus 2. Now that means n equal to what? Nothing but 2. N minus 2 equal to 0, so n equal to 2. That means this sequence of xn must be shifted by 2 units plus 2 unit, n equal to plus 2. So for every n you have to add plus 2. So minus 2 plus 2, that means it becomes minus 1. Minus 2 plus 2, 0. Minus 1 plus 2, 1. 0 plus 2, 2. 1 becomes 3. 2 becomes 4. 3 becomes 5. That means it is shifted right hand side by 2 sample. Minus 3 to minus 1. Okay. That means it is a simple delay system. Already I have told you that in the above equation, if nd is negative integer, then the system would shift input to left by nd sample corresponding to time advance or advanced system. Okay. Now let's take another example, that is a simple accumulator. Now accumulator, what it does actually, it's basically take two values and do the summation. With that result, it will take the third value, again summation, then it will go on. So here the output is yn equal to minus infinity to n x of l. Now, l varies from minus infinity to n. That means it will add up. So that means, say, let us take example, say l equal to 0 to 5. That means x of 0 plus x of 1 plus x of 2 plus x of 3. It will go on. Here it is x of minus infinity to plus x of minus, say, whatever the value, then x of 0 plus 1, x of 1 plus last value is x of n. Now yn can also be written as xl, that is minus infinity to n minus 1, that means just before the present value. Okay. and xn is the present value. N equal to 0 is the present value. So xn is the last value, say, and this is the first value to the just before the last value. Okay. So now this one, how we can write here? Y of n, here also n. So we are getting, this is y of n. Okay. Here it is minus infinity to n minus 1. So this one, how we can write? Y of n minus 1 plus xn. This is the last value, and this is n minus 1 is the previous value before the last value. And the output yn at time instant n is the sum of the input sample xn at the time n and the previous output, that is y of n minus 1 at time instant n minus 1, which is the sum of all previous input samples values from minus infinity to n minus 1. Now the system cumulatively adds, that is, it accumulates all input samples values. That is why it is called simple accumulator. Now this accumulator input-output relation can also be written in the following form. Now this is the form that we have seen, minus infinity to n. Now what we can do is minus infinity to n, that we can divide in two parts, minus infinity to minus 1, then 0 to n. This is the case. This one, what we can write? Nothing but y of minus 1. Here it is minus 1, and this one is left. This is for n greater than or equal to 0. Now this is nothing but the second term is used for causal input sequence. Now what is causal signal? If you remember, that is for what type of signal is a causal signal? That is valid for n greater than or equal to 0. Have non-zero values, and n less than 0, that should be 0. So here it is varying from 0 to n. So this is causal signal, causal input sequence. And y of 1 minus 1, this is nothing but is the initial value or previous output. So previous output plus the causal input sequence summation, that is equal to accumulator. So these two are gives you the same result. Okay. Now this signal minus infinity to n, that is becomes a non-causal signal. Okay. Now another example, let us take, that is a moving average system. Now m point moving average system. M point means, say we are taking a causal signal, so 0 to m minus 1. If 0 to m minus 1, that means we have total m number of samples, right? That means what we are doing, we are taking x of 0 value, x of 0 minus 1, x of 0 value, x of 1, x of 2, x of 3, all those value we have taken here. Okay. And we are adding that, then divided by m. So what we are getting? Average value. Now this is basically used in smoothing random variation in data. In most applications, the data xn is bounded sequence. Now m point average yn is also bounded. Now bounded means what? Bounded sequence means that summation of the magnitude should be less than infinity. That means it is bounded. So then moving point, m point moving average system is also a bounded sequence if xn is bounded. A direct implementation of m point moving average system requires m minus 1 adder or additions, 1 division or divider circuit, and m minus 1 storage element to store the past input data samples. Now, let us take another example of moving average system. In that case, what we are doing is, in previous case, we did it for causal signals 0 to m minus 1. Now here we are having minus 1 to m2, right? That means what? This become non-causal signal, minus m to m2, minus m1 to m2. And what we are doing is, now here, what is the total length? m1, then m plus m2 plus z1. Why 1? Because there is a term 0. If say m1 equal to 1, m2 equal to 1, then minus 1 is 1, 0, then again 1. So total 3 sample. 1, 1 plus 2 plus 1. Okay. So if m1 and m2 is 2, that's input sequence is, if you want to find out y of 2 value, That means n equal to 2. If n equal to 2, one value will be k is minus 1, m1 equal to 1. So that will be 2 plus 1, 3. That is x of 3. Now when n2 and k becomes 0, that will be x of 2. When k equal to 1, that becomes x of 1. And m1 plus m2 plus 1 is 1 by 3. This is how we can calculate. Now, another example of digital system, this is called digital interpolator. Now linear interpolation means what? That is basically employed to estimate sample values between pairs of adjacent sample values of a discrete time sequence. That means if we have factor of two interpolator, this example is yn equal to xn plus half x of n minus 1 plus x of n plus 1. Now x of n plus 1 means what? This is nothing but future value, that is on the left hand side. This is past value, this is future value, and this is present value. Okay, x of n. This is factor of 2 interpolator, and this is the factor of 4 interpolator. Okay. So what happened here? Here it will give one data between two point, and here factor of 4, it will provide some 3 of data, 4 data basically between two numbers. Now classification of, now this interpolation basically used to convert digital signal into corresponding analog signal. Okay. Classification of discrete time systems. There are many classifications are there. Among those, some are this. Summary is this: static or memoryless, and dynamic or with memory system, linear, nonlinear system, shift or time invariant or time variant system, causal and non-causal system, passive and lossless, stable and unstable system. Now say static and dynamic system. A discrete time system is called static or memoryless if its output at any instant n depends on the input sample at the same time, but not on the past or future samples of the input. Then it is called static system or memoryless system. That means it does not require any memory system, memory to store data. Input is coming, it is giving the output. In the other case, the system is said to be dynamic or to have memory if the output of a system at time n is completely determined by the input samples in the interval from say n minus n to n. Okay, that means what? We have some delay. That means we have some past inputs. So past input means we have to store the input in the memory, so it requires memory. So an example of memoryless system is nothing but yn equal to xn square. Now see here n, and this is n only. So when at any instant of n, we are getting the output value. We don't have to compute any past values. Okay. Now say yn equal to nxn plus bxqn. This is also a memoryless system or static system. Why this? Because this index is n only. That means it depends on present value only. Okay. Past means it must have some n minus 1, n minus 2, or n minus 3. Future means n plus 1, n plus 3, like that. So, and so the delay in the ideal delay system that we have seen is not memoryless unless nd equal to 0. If nd is 0, then it becomes memoryless, otherwise it is having some memory. It should have memory to store the past data. So dynamic systems with finite memory, that means in this equation what we can see, the summation is goes from 0 to n. N can be any value, 5, 10 to 100,000, whatever. So that means what? We have some finite memory to store the data. 0 to n, finite memory. That means we require n number of memory to store this n minus k. This is your past values, xn, then xn minus 1, xn minus 2, like that way. So we have past value we have to store, and we require finite memory. But this is the example, it require infinite memory. Why? Because this range is k equal to 0 to infinity. As this is infinity, so here k value should go to infinity. That means we require infinite memory to store those past data, input data. Now linear system is basically obeys linear. The linear system usually obeys the principle of homogeneity and superposition. Homogeneity means what? Suppose we have x1n input, which passes through system, it gives output y of y1 of n. Similarly, x2n passes to system, gives y2n. Now homogeneity means if we multiply with a scalar factor with the input, say a into x1n, output should be multiplied by the same scalar, that is a. So ax1n should give us a y1n. Similarly, say b x2n, that should give us b y2n. Now this is homogeneity, and superposition means what? Superposition means the summation. That means the weighted, that is scaled, multiplied by the scalar factor alpha of x1n multiplied by x2n with beta scalar factor. Then if we add, we must get the result as alpha of y1n plus beta of y2n. Okay, so this is the case. Now what we can write in statement, that is the linear system output due to the weighted sum inputs. Okay, weighted sum. So alpha x1 is weighted sample, weighted input plus bit another weighted input, summation of that. So weighted sum inputs is equal to the sum weight, which is equal to the same weighted sum of the individual outputs obtained from the corresponding inputs. That is, say if we apply alpha x1, that should leads us alpha y1. So that is the output of the first system plus output of the second system. Altogether that should be the result of the system. So this is where alpha beta is nothing but constant or scaling factor. Now say for example, accumulator example, yn summation of xl of l goes from minus to n. Now if xn is nothing but two input x1n x2n multiplied by alpha and beta, okay, that is xn, then y1 should be equal to what? Nothing but this one, that is x1 of l x2 of l multiplied by beta, and this first one multiplied by alpha, which is whole summation. So we can sum up, we can divide the summation, alpha beta we can take outside, then this factor is what? Nothing but y1, and this factor is nothing but y2. So what we can see, that y1 is nothing but alpha y1n plus beta y2n, which is similar to this. So this is a linear system which obeys the homogeneity and superposition principle. Now say another example, say yn equal to xn whole square. This is what type of system? Static or memory-less system. So xn, what we can write? Alpha x1n plus beta x2n. Right? Now if we take y of n of that particular xn, then what we will get? Xn whole square. Now if you square that, what will happen? You will have alpha square x square of that. So xn square you are getting, alpha square beta square also you are getting, but we will have another term, that is twice of ab, right? That means that is not equal to your yn, that is not equal to this term. So it is not a linear system, this is a non-linear system. Now say another example of accumulator. In accumulator already we have seen that y1 can be written as y1 minus 1 and 0 to n. So this is a causal signal, and this is the previous output. So this can be y of 1n, y of 2n we can get. Now y1 n for an input alpha x1n plus beta x2n is given by what? Yn equal to y of minus 1 previous value and summation of this total xn. Okay, that is your y of n. But now alpha of y1n plus beta of y2n, that what we can write? Alpha into this term, this y of y1n and beta into y2n, this term. Okay. Now here what we can see, that we have these initial condition values. Now this part is same, no problem. This part is there, okay, but here we have two initial value, but here we have one initial value. This part is coming here, there is no problem. Here when we take weighted sum of input signal, then here we have one initial value, but here we have two initial value which is multiplied by two scaling factors. Thus yn equal to this alpha y1 of n plus beta y2 n if this y of minus 1 is equal to this initial condition term, okay, otherwise not. So for causal accumulator to be linear, the condition y of minus 1 should be equal to summation of these two initial conditions, must hold for initial conditions, y of minus 1, y1 of minus 1, y2 of minus 1. Now all and all constant alpha beta. Okay. Now this condition cannot be satisfied unless the accumulator is initially at rest with zero initial condition. That means if this value is 0, initial condition value is 0, it is also 0, then it becomes linear. Okay. But if it is not the case, then the system is non-linear. So here you can see, if you write this equation of accumulator, it becomes non-linear, but if we write in this format, it becomes linear. Okay. So this is the difference that you have to always take care. Now say shift invariance or time invariance. Now a system is shift or time invariant if any delay in the input produces a similar delay in the output. Okay. That means a discrete time system is called time invariant if its input output characteristics do not change with time. That means suppose we have input xn to a digital system, output yn is nothing but operation of on xn, t of xn. Now if we delay the input by n0 unit, so x of n minus n0, output should be delayed by same unit, that is y of n minus n0. Okay. So time invariance property ensures that for a specified input, the output is independent of the time the input is being applied, independent of time, and in this case what happened, the output waveform is preserved also. Okay. Now if we look as an example means say this is your x1 of n, we have x1 value and y1 is something like that. Now if we delay this x1n by say 3 unit, so n0, and the output should be delayed by the same n0 unit. Okay. Now say for example, say we have a system yn equal to 2 twice of xn minus 5. Now what we can write, that let the input and output be x1n and y1n. Now y1n is what equals to, that should be according to this formula, that is twice of x1n minus 5. Okay. Again x2n is say delayed by x1n delayed by n0 to be shifted input, and y2 be the output due to the shifted input. The system output using the shifted input can be described as y2 of n. If we delay this, then what will have, 2 of x1 n minus 5 minus n minus n0 minus 5. So instead of n, we are writing n minus n0. Right? Meanwhile, shifting y1, that is this is y1, okay, 2x1 n minus 5. If you shift that, what will have, n minus n0 minus 5. That means what? This y of 1 n minus 1 0, what is the result? That is equals to y of this y2 is nothing but y2n, this result 2 of x1, this one, nothing but equal to the same as y1 of n minus n0. That means what? That means if we delay the input, okay, whatever we got the output, if we delay the output, we will get the same result. Okay. Now another example. This is an example of upsampler. Now the condition is yn equal to x of n by l, where n equal to 0 plus minus l plus minus 2l, like that, 0 otherwise. Now y of 1 n equal to x1 n minus n by l. Okay. Now if you think x1 is x input is delayed by n minus n0, okay, then what we can write? Yn equal to x of n by l, that means x of n by l minus n0, right? X n minus n0, this is the term minus n0, or what we can write, n minus l into n0 by l. Now if we delay the input here, output here, y1 of n minus n0, then what will be the result? That will be this one, that is n minus l n0. So both are different. So this is not shift invariant, that is, it is shift variant. Now another example, say yn equal to n of xn. Now if we delay the output y of n, y of, if we delay the input, that means xn equal to x1 n minus n0, then yn equal to what? Nothing but n of x1 n minus n0. Now if we delay the output, then what will happen? Y1 n minus n0, and here n should be my n minus n0 and x1 n minus n0. Here what happened? Your both the n is delayed if you delay the output. But if you only delay the input term x1 n minus n0, this n will be there. So these two are not same. So it is shift variant or not shift invariant. Parameter depends on this n value. Now this is one important term in DSP, that is linear time invariant system LTI or linear shift invariant system LSI. The system which are both linear and shift invariant or time invariant are called linear time invariant system. Now linear time invariant systems are mathematically easy to analyze and characterize and consequently easy to design. Now highly useful signal processing algorithms have been developed utilizing this class of systems, that is LTI systems, over the last several decades. Now there is a wide and useful class of DSP systems as digital filters. So LTI system examples are some digital filters. Now let us say causal system, or what is causality. The system is causal if the output at n depends only on the present and past inputs. So yn is a function of xn, that is the present input, x of n minus 1, x minus 2, that is the past input. Okay, it can go up to n minus n. So causal means output depends on present and past inputs. That the output of a causal system depends on the present and past values of input to the system and does not predict the future. That means it cannot predict the future. Causal system cannot predict the future. Okay. Now example of causal system is say 0 to n and delayed version only. That is the past input, some multiplying constant, say, and k 0 to n. So this is causal. Now here also you can see x square n, so present, here past, so this is causal. Okay. Now say if example of a moving average system, 1 by m k equal to 0 to m minus 1 x of n minus k. Now here you can see this is summation goes from 0 to m minus 1 x n minus k, so delayed system. So this is nothing but a causal system. Now let us take non-causal system example. Now the output of non-causal system depends on present, past and future values of input to the system, which just predict the future. So this is actually not realizable non-causal system. Okay. So non-causal system example, how you can find out? nx n plus 1 plus 1 term is nothing but the future input, future input x of n plus 1 future input. So this is non-causal system. Now here yn, here we have only delayed, but here you can see the limit is minus 10 to 10. Now whenever this there is a minus term here in summation, minus means it is on the left hand side, that means it is a future, so it becomes a non-causal system. Now another centered moving average system, where let us take this example, 1 by m xn plus k equal to 1 to 1 minus 1, m minus 1 by 2 x of n minus k plus x of n plus k. Now what we can see here, we have x of n plus k. This term is looks forward in time. That means it is non-causal. Okay. Now let us take some more example of causal system. So here n x of n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3. So this is causal. So again x of n minus 1, n minus 2, and we have output also. That means causal means it doesn't mean that only for input case. We can have output also. We can have past output also. Okay. So for causal system, we can have present input, and past output also. Okay, that is also causal. Now example of non-causal system, this is an example of interpolator, xn half of x n minus 1 plus x of n plus 1. Now this example or this interpolator can be implemented as a causal system by delaying the output by an appropriate number of samples. For example, a causal implementation of the factor of 2 interpolator is yn equal to this input. We have how many? One unit is there in advanced, so we have to delete by one sample. That means this sample is delayed by 1, so n minus 1. This sample delayed by 1, so n minus 2. This sample delayed by 1, that means n plus 1 minus 1 become x of n. That means what? This non-causal system we can write in causal system for realization of the hardware circuit. Okay. Now it's a passive and lossless system. Now discrete time system is defined to be passive if for every finite energy input the output has at most the same energy. So you know the energy is nothing but summation of magnitude square. Okay. So summation of y in magnitude square goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. This is the energy of output signal. This is the energy xn magnitude square goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. This is the energy of input signal. So what should be the condition? Is to be passive when the output energy is less than or equal to input energy, and that should be less than infinity. Now for a lossless system, passive means less than. Okay, passive means output energy less than input energy, and that must be less than infinity. For a lossless system, the above inequality sign would be replaced by equal sign. Okay, then it will be lossless. That means output power equal to input power. Now say for example, say yn equal to alpha x of n minus n. Now this is a causal signal or non-causal? This is a causal signal. Why? Because only delayed version is there. There is no future value. Its output energy is given equal to alpha square xn whole square, which is the value x of n minus n. Also you can write. Now here what happened? For lossless, if alpha, this mod of alpha, if this is less than 1, then it is passive system. If equal to 1, then that will be equal, so lossless system. Okay. Now say impulse and step response. Now the response of a discrete time system may in unit impulse sequence, which is nothing but del n, is called the unit sample response, or simply the impulse response denoted by hn. That means if we apply del n input to a digital LTI system, LTI or LSI system, output is nothing but impulse response or HN. Now, the response of a discrete time system to a unit step sequence, that means if we apply U of n, apply to LTI or LSI system, output should be S of n, which is called step response. Okay. Now say example, suppose this is one system. Okay. So yn equal to a alpha 1 x1 alpha 2 x n minus 1 alpha 3 x n minus 2 alpha 4 n n minus 3. Now in this system what we are doing, we can replace this xn by delta n. Okay, then and yn we have to replace by h of n. Why? So if we apply xn, we are getting output as yn. Now if we apply input as del n, output should be h of n. So here we are writing h of n alpha 1 delta n x of n minus 1, that is nothing but delta of n minus 1, x of n minus 2 means delta of n minus 2, x of n minus 3 means delta of n minus 3. Now the impulse response is thus a finite length. How many length? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has sequence of length 4. And what are the values of that coefficient value? Alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, alpha 4. Now alpha 1 is for delta 1, delta n. Delta n means here n equal to 0. So whenever the origin point you have to mark by this arrow. So hn equal to alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, alpha 4, and marked is here at alpha 1. Now say impulse response of the discrete time accumulator example. So this is the accumulator example. Okay. Now if we put xn equal to delta n here, what happened to yn equal hn equal to, here we are writing delta l. Now delta l goes from minus infinity to n, right? So what we can write here, we are writing, so we can change this to, if we change this to 0 to n, it becomes un, right? If you write minus infinity to n, then we cannot write. So this is a step response basically. We can assume this one as a step response. That means unit impulse and summation of unit impulses. So it is step response. Now say for digital interpolator, this is the system. Now here if we put delta n and output h of n, delta n plus delta of n minus 1 plus delta of n plus 1. Right? Now what is the value of delta n for n equal to 0? When n equal to 0, what is the value of hn? This is 1, this 2 is 0, because delta n at n equal to 0 is 1. So at 0 this value is 1. When n equal to say 1, delta 1 is 0, this is 1 minus 1 is 0, so delta 0 is 1 and 1 plus 1 means 2, so this is also 0, so this value become 1, 1 by 2 half. Now when n equal to minus 1, then this is minus 1, so delta of minus 1 is 0, minus 1 minus 1 minus 2, that is also 0. Now minus 1 plus 1, that becomes 0, so delta 0 equal to 1, 1 into half 0.5. So hn value finite length of 3 and values at 0.5, 1, 0.5, and the 0 location or origin is at 1. So this is the impulse response of the interpolator. Now let us take the one of the important point, that is convolution sum. Now if the linearity property is combined with the representation of a general sequence as a linear combination of delayed samples, then it follows that a linear time invariant system can be completely described or characterized by its impulse response. That means if we have applied del n to a LTI system or LSI system, we have output Hn. If you delete this impulse, we will get same delayed impulse response. Now if we apply say superposition of that alpha into delta of n minus k plus beta into delta n minus l, output will be what? Alpha of h of n minus k plus beta of h of n minus l. This is due to the property of LSI or LTI system. Now in last class already we have seen that xn can be written in terms of xk and delta. That means k goes from minus infinity to plus infinity, xk into delta n minus k, then plus x0 in delta 0 plus x1 delta n minus 1 plus x2 delta n minus 2, like that way we can go. Okay, so xn is nothing but summation of xk into delta of n minus k, where k goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. Now suppose h of k is the response of the linear system to the impulse delta of n minus k at n equal to k, then what we can write, output y of n is nothing but the transformation or system of this input. This is the input, nothing but this xn. So when we apply input xn to a digital system of operator t, say output should be y of n. That means this is your xn and we are getting y of n. Now what we can write? Now from this equation, in this equation, what we can do, we can take this t inside. If we take this t to this delta term, delta n minus k, now delta n minus k term becomes hk of n or h of n minus k. So instead of delta n minus k, we can write as h of n minus k, right? Now if the system additionally time invariant, then the response to delta n minus k is h of n minus k. So what we get, the equation as yn equal to k of minus infinity to proximity x of k into h of n minus k. Now this expression is called convolution sum. Therefore, a linear LTI system has the property that given Hn as the property that for a given Hn we can find Yn for any input x of n. Now this convolution operator is symbolized as a star mark, Yn equal to xn star h of n. Okay. So in this convolution operation, what is happening is the operation of discrete time convolution takes two sequences xn and hn and produces a third sequence y of n. In this convolution, what are the process that are involved? Now we have xk and we must have h of minus k. So h of k we have to first do folding operation or time reversal of x of k, then delayed of that n minus k, then multiplication with x of k, then summation. So convolution has four steps: folding, delay or advancing, multiplication and summation. So according to commutative law, x convolution of hn can be written as hn convolution with hn. So instead of summation of xk into h of n minus k, we can write summation of hk into x of n minus k. Both are same. Now distributive properties, suppose we have parallel connection of two systems xn, it is applying to with impulse response of h of 1n and h of 2n, both are in parallel. So out of, and the result yn is nothing but summation of that. So what we can write, xn convolution with h of 1n plus hn convolution with x2n. Now if you take xn as a common factor, convolution of h1 plus h2n. So the parallel connection, what will happen? It will gives us result as h of 1n plus h of 2n as a whole. So then x1n n convolution with h1n plus h2n gives you this result. Now that is for distributive property. Now associative property means if two functions, two LTI system connected in series or cascade connection, that then what will happen, x1n convolution with h1 of n, then convolution with h2n, as it is in series connection. That means what we can do, x1n convolution of h1n convolution with h2n. So x1n xn total system is what, nothing but h1n convolve with h2n. This gives output yn. Now take a as a whole this concept here we can apply here. Now what we can see, two systems connected in series, that means this should give you addition. Series means convolve, series means that should be convolve with each other. So here it will be h1n convolve with h3n. Now these two in parallel, that means with this h2n should be added. So H equivalent, that is what, H1n convolve with H3n plus H2n. Okay, so this is the one system that we can get. Now the stability criteria. Now there stability criteria states that a system is stable if each bounded input produces bounded output. Now bounded input means what? That the magnitude of xn is less than infinity for all values of n. Okay. Bounded output means magnitude of yn is in less than infinity for all values of n. Now for the convolution sum output yn is stable or not, for that what you have to do? The magnitude that should be less than infinity. That means what? If xn less than infinity, then xn minus k also less than infinity. Okay, that means for yn magnitude of yn should be less than infinity when this summation of h of k, magnitude of h of k less than infinity. That means the system is stable if its impulse response is absolutely summable. Okay, so condition for stability is impulse response is absolutely summable, or h of n magnitude of that and summation of that goes from minus infinity to plus infinity less than infinity, and that is the condition for stability. Now LTI system can be represented by two forms. One is convolution sum that we have seen, another is the difference equation. Okay, now let us see what is difference equation. Now continuous time systems are characterized in terms of differential equations, but discrete time systems on the other hand are characterized in terms of difference equations. Now a LTI system can be described by linear constant coefficient difference equation of the form this one. This is nothing but summation of output. This part is output, this part is input. Now in this input what we have, I equal to 0 to n, finite range, x of n minus I when I equal to 0 it will be x of n, that means it is present value, n minus some value 1 2 3 up to n, that means past value. So present value and past value summation, and each value can be multiplied by some factor ai, a constant term. This is the past value and past and present input value, and here similarly same thing, yn is the present output and yn minus 1 n minus 2 all are the past output. So this equation can be written in terms of summation of present input past input, and here it is present output past output. So past output yn, that is equals to what? Nothing but the input term, and from here the minus output term, where I start from 1 to m, because 0 that comes here yn. Okay. Now here this m and n decide the order of the system. ai and bi are the constant coefficient. Now two types of discrete time system can be identified from this equation, these two equation, or from this one equation, that is non-recursive and recursive. Now discrete time system is recursive when output yn depends only on present and past inputs. Okay, then it is called non-recursive system. That means yn is function of present input xn and past inputs x of n minus 1 n minus 2 n minus 3 then n minus n. Okay. And if a system yn at time n depends on present and past inputs and also on any number of past output values, that is yn minus 1 yn minus 2 like that, it is called non-recursive. Sorry, it is called recursive system. Recursive means there is a recursion, that means there is a feedback from where output is feedback to input again. Okay, so this output, past output, is feedback to the input again. Okay, so in output becomes the function of past output and present past output, past input and present input. That is called recursive. Non-recursive means there is no feedback from the output side, it has only present and past inputs. So So example of non-recursive system, you can see here 0 to n and hk x of n minus k. So in this case, this is a causal signal or causal system 0 to n, and this is also a non-recursive system. Why? Because there is only past output and present output when k equal to 0 is there. There is no past output, only past input value x of n minus k. So past input values are there and present input xn multiply with the impulse response value. And example of recursive system is, now you can see this is a recursive system where we have past value, past input value and past output value. Okay, multiply with some factor. Okay, so this is called recursive system. Now let us take example of non-recursive system. Say xn x of n minus 1 x of n minus 2. So there is no past output in the expression, only present input past out input. That means it is non-recursive. Now this can be denoted or this can be drawn by this schematic diagram like that way, that this is the flow, signal flow, xn goes here and this xn here, there is a multiplying factor c0, it is come to here. So c0 into xn, this term xn into c0 comes here, and this z inverse, this is called unit delay element. Okay, that means we have one unit delay, it will give xn, then z inverse, it will give you x of n minus 1, and this here we have x of n minus 1, that is multiplied with x c of 1 summation, it will come here. Okay, so we will get these two summation here. Now n minus 1, again one delay, that becomes x of n minus 2, then multiplied by c2 sum, it will give you the result as y of n. Okay, now recursive system example, now you can see y of n minus 1, that means it is a recursive system, and we have past value, past output value also. So similarly we can draw a structure like that. Now here we have delay element 2, delay element 2 adder, and here we have 3 multiplier. Okay, now here what we can have b0 xn b0 here add with xn delayed by 1 unit, that means x minus 1 multiplied by b1, and these two added up, and this will added up with what value, yn delayed by 1 unit and multiply by minus a1 adding up, that will give you the yn. Now let us take example of accumulator. Now this is recursive or non-recursive. Now this accumulator minus infinity to n, what we can write, that is we can write minus infinity to n minus 1, right, and last value x of n. Now this term we can write as y of n minus 1. So this accumulator is nothing but a recursive system because it has to take past output. So according to the diagram, what we can say, xn yn one sample delay, so you get result as y of n minus 1, it goes and add with xn, that gives you yn, and it can go on for this summation part. Okay, so this is the accumulator is an example of recursive system. Okay, now another point that you have to remember, the causal non-recursive system. Causal means what? It must have only past output, past values of input or output. But if we have only past value of inputs and present value of input, that means it is causal and non-recursive. Now if we have past value of inputs, past value of outputs and present inputs, then it is called causal recursive system. Okay, so what are the points you have to remember? Linear, non-linear system, causal, non-causal, recursive, non-recursive, then time invariant, time variant, difference equation. Okay, so now just look into this point, that is accumulator is nothing but a recursive system because we have past output. Okay. Here also this is also a recursive because we have past output. This is recursive or non-recursive. This is non-recursive because we don't have any past output here. We have past, and this is a causal signal, right? This is also causal. But this one is not causal. This part is not causal, but this one becomes causal. Okay. So same thing, simple accumulator. If you represent by this is not causal, non-causal because minus infinity to n. If you represent by this difference equation, this is a causal system now, and this is recursive. Okay. Similarly, recursive and causal taking past output, but it is causal. It is also causal but non-recursive. This is this is non-causal minus m1 to m2. Okay, and here what happens? This one is non-causal because we have x of n plus 1. Okay, and this one also non-causal. We have x n plus 1. Whether this is recursive or non-recursive, this is non-recursive but non-causal. This is also non-recursive but non-causal. Okay, so we have to understand all these points properly, and this is it for today. In next class I will discuss about convolution, how to perform convolution. Okay, thank you. So